fighters were exhausted, blood everywhere, the crowd on their feet. Then suddenly, something unbelievable happened. Jiri locked in a choke. The champion had no choice but to tap.
He got the hand down. He got the hand. No, but they still got it again.
And just like that, a samurai from the Czech Republic became UFC champion. But here's the crazy part. Jiri Procházka might be one of the most dangerous fighters in the division, and also one of the most reckless. His fights are chaos. Spinning elbows, wild exchanges, walking straight into danger. Sometimes that style creates legendary moments. Sometimes it nearly destroys him. So the real question is, can Jiri Procházka climb the mountain again and become champion? Or will his chaotic style finally catch up to him? Before we break down Jiri Procházka's insane fighting style and the brutal wars that turned him into one of the most unpredictable fighters in MMA, make sure to subscribe. Because on this channel, we dive deep into the wildest stories in combat sports. Knockouts, comebacks, fighters who live like real-life warriors. And Jiri Procházka might be the craziest one of them all. But to understand why this man fights the way he does, we have to go back to the beginning. Before the UFC, before the title fights. Back to a kid from the Czech Republic who became obsessed with samurai philosophy and believed fighting wasn't just a sport. It was a way of life. Jiri Procházka was born in 1992 in the Czech Republic, in the city of Znojmo. Life there wasn't glamorous, no big gyms, no fight spotlight, just a quiet town and a kid looking for direction. When Jiri was young, his father passed away, something that deeply shaped the way he saw the world. As a teenager, he started getting into street fights and trouble, but everything changed when he discovered martial arts. First, it was Muay Thai, then MMA. And once he stepped into a gym, something clicked. Jiri wasn't just training to win fights. He became obsessed with the philosophy behind fighting. He began studying the teachings of legendary samurai Miyamoto Musashi, especially the famous book, The Book of Five Rings. Discipline, self-control, constant evolution. For Jiri, fighting was no longer just violence. It became a path, and trust me, the way that path leads to the UFC is absolutely insane. You don't want to miss what happens next. Before the UFC ever called his name, Jiri Procházka was already building a reputation on the other side of the world, in Japan. He joined Rizin Fighting Federation, the promotion that carried the legacy of pride and was known for wild fights and fearless strikers. And Jiri fit perfectly. He didn't fight safe. He didn't fight careful. He fought like chaos in human form. Spinning elbows, wild exchanges, walking straight into danger just to land something bigger. Fans in Japan loved it. In 2019, Jiri captured the Rizin Light Heavyweight Championship after knocking out former champion Muhammad King Mo Lawal in brutal fashion. That win made one thing very clear. Jiri Procházka wasn't just another prospect. He was one of the most dangerous knockout artists in the world. By 2020, the UFC finally came calling. Jiri Procházka entered the promotion with hype, but also with a big question. Could this wild, unpredictable style actually work against the best fighters in the world? His first test came against dangerous knockout artist Volkan Oezdemir, a former UFC title challenger known for ending fights fast. For 2 rounds, the fight was absolute chaos. Both men were swinging hard, big shots landing, no one backing down. Then it happened. In round 2, Jiri suddenly spun and landed a devastating spinning elbow that crashed directly into Oezdemir's jaw. Oezdemir collapsed instantly.
Went for the flying knee.
Oh, there it is! Jiri Prochazka!
Just like that, Jiri announced himself to the entire division. Not with a decision, not with a safe performance, with one of the most brutal knockouts of the year. But that knockout was only the beginning, because Jiri's next fight would produce one of the most violent finishes the division has ever seen. If people thought Jiri's UFC debut was crazy, his next fight proved it wasn't luck. In 2021, he faced Dominick Reyes, the same fighter who had gone to war with John Jones and nearly took the title. Reyes was dangerous, explosive, and known for his knockout power. But the fight quickly turned into another Jiri Procházka war. Both men were landing heavy shots. Reyes even rocked Jiri at moments. Most fighters would slow down. Jiri did the opposite. He kept pushing forward, throwing wild combinations, constantly pressuring. Then in round 2, it happened again. Jiri spun, this time with a brutal spinning back elbow that smashed into Reyes' head. Reyes collapsed face first to the canvas. It was one of the most violent knockouts the division had seen in years.
This is an ominous presence coming to you from the Czech Republic, who ends it with a spinning elbow knockout.
And suddenly the message was clear. Jiri Procházka wasn't just exciting, he was a serious title threat. And what happened in his next fight for the championship turned into one of the craziest title fights in UFC history. By 2022, Jiri Procházka was no longer just a contender. He was fighting for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. His opponent, Glover Teixeira, the veteran champion who had shocked the world by submitting Jan Blachowicz to win the belt. What followed at UFC 275 became one of the wildest title fights the division had ever seen. 5 rounds of pure chaos. Both fighters were hurt multiple times. Both came close to finishing the fight. Teixeira used his grappling to control Jiri on the ground. Jiri answered with relentless pressure and brutal striking. By the 5th round, both men looked exhausted. Blood everywhere, the fight hanging by a thread. And then something unbelievable happened. With less than 30 seconds left in the fight, Jiri locked in a rear naked choke. The champion had no choice but to tap. Just like that, Jiri Procházka became the first UFC champion in Czech history. And he did it in one of the most dramatic finishes ever seen in a title fight. But just when Jiri Procházka reached the top of the mountain, everything fell apart. Only a few months after winning the belt, Jiri was preparing for his first title defense, a rematch against Glover Teixeira. Then disaster struck. During training, Jiri suffered a severe shoulder injury, not just a small setback. According to the UFC, it was one of the worst shoulder injuries they had ever seen in MMA. The damage was so serious that Jiri couldn't defend his title, so he made a decision that shocked many fans. Instead of holding on to the belt while recovering, he vacated the championship himself. Just like that, the light heavyweight division was thrown into chaos again. The belt was gone, the champion disappeared, and a new monster was about to rise in the division. Alex Pereira. While Jiri was recovering, the light heavyweight division didn't wait. A new champion emerged. Alex Pereira, the former Glory kickboxing superstar, quickly took over the division with his terrifying knockout power. And eventually, the path led straight back to Jiri. Their first clash came at UFC 295 for the vacant light heavyweight title. It didn't take long for things to explode. Both men were dangerous. Both were hunting the knockout. But in the second round, Pereira landed a brutal combination that forced the referee to step in. Jiri protested the stoppage, but the result stood. Pereira became champion. The rivalry wasn't over, though. The two warriors met again at UFC 303. Once again, the fight turned into a violent, striking battle. But Pereira's power proved too much that night. A devastating head kick followed by punches ended the fight. Two brutal losses. Two wars with one of the most dangerous strikers in MMA. But if there's one thing we know about Jiri Procházka, he never stops coming forward. Jiri Procházka has already lived one of the wildest careers in modern MMA, from a small town in the Czech Republic to becoming Rizin champion in Japan, to submitting Glover Teixeira in the final moments of a UFC title fight. But his story was never about taking the easy path. Jiri fights differently. No safe strategies, no careful point fighting. Just constant pressure, chaos, and the belief that a true warrior should always move forward. Sometimes that style creates legendary moments, sometimes it leads to brutal losses. But that's exactly why fans respect him. Because win or lose, Jiri Procházka never fights with fear. And the real question now is this: can the Czech samurai climb the mountain again and reclaim the UFC belt? Or will his chaotic style always hold him back against elite strikers like Alex Pereira? What do you think? Can Jiri become champion again? Or have we already seen his best days? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy deep MMA stories like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because we break down the most brutal fights, legendary careers, and the wildest stories in combat sports.